All right, thank you. Please be seated. Ms. Wilson, you may continue.
Ms. Rollins, I'm showing you Defendant's Exhibit 15. Can you describe what this is?
There's pieces of the goose, part of the kitchen genius, a cup, bloody paper towels, and part of a purse.
Okay. And with the laser pointer, it's still hard to see from over here. Can you point out some changes from photo 14, Exhibit 14 to Exhibit 15? More items have been removed?
Yes.
Okay, what items have been removed?
Looks like this paper towel.
And the position of the cup has also been shifted?
Yes, ma'am.
And from Exhibit 14 to Exhibit 15, what has happened with this cigarette butt? Has it been removed or has it been covered up?
I think it's been removed.
Okay. If you can look at Exhibit 15, does it appear that this is, does it appear that this object right here is the same object as this?
It does.
So at that point, you can't really say whether the cigarette butt is still in there, but at least the piece of broken goose is still there, right?
Correct.
But at that point, it's got another bloody paper towel on top of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm showing you Defendant's Exhibit 16. Can you describe that?
There's bottles, items from the, or personal items, popcorn container, and some bloody paper towels.
And this is the last photograph you took of any contents within the trash can, is that correct?
If that's the last one, yes, ma'am.
And now I'm showing you Defendant's Exhibit 17. Can you describe this?
Items that were collected out of the garbage can, the dish towel, the purses, bloody paper towels, part of the goose, water bottles.
Okay. And these photographs were all taken at the lab, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There's some jurors' hands up. Do you have any problems seeing?
The bottom row.
Pull it all the way over to the other side.
Too low?
Yeah, too low.
So this is some of the contents of the trash can in this photo, but not all of the contents, correct?
Correct.
And in this photograph, this appears to be a brown purse right here,
Yes, ma'am.
and then this appears to be a black purse,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is bloody paper towels.
Yes, ma'am.
And then behind the brown purse, is that the same rug pads that we had in the trash can?
Yes, ma'am.
And it appears here that the trash can is actually resting on the rug pads.
The trash can is?
The purse, the brown purse, is resting on the rug pads.
I mean, I can't tell from that picture.
Okay. And it appears that those bloody paper towels are actually touching the purse at that point. Would you agree with that?
I don't know, I'd have to have another angle of the photo.
Okay. And you can step closer if you need to. Can you tell where the strap of that purse is going in
No.
relation to the bloody paper towels?
No, I can't.
So here we have two photos, or two purses. And would you agree that in the preceding picture, we've only seen one purse?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have this in Exhibit 15, that would be the black purse right there? Would you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have no photos of the brown purse in place in the trash can?
No, ma'am.
And then Exhibit 18, can you describe that, please?
Brown purse, the paper towels, part of the goose, the webcams, a coffee cup.
So in this one, it's similar contents, only it's photographed with a little bit more a few more items that are to the left of this photograph, is that
Yes, ma'am.
correct? And Defendant's Exhibit 19, can you describe this?
Part of the popcorn, cigarette butts, and part of a receipt. Or,
And is Exhibit 20 the same cigarette butts?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So where did these cigarette butts come from?
The one came from the middle of the garbage, or that picture, and the rest came from the bottom of the garbage can. Or towards the bottom of the garbage can.
So of those 5 cigarette butts, which one of those was the one on top of the bloody paper towel?
I don't know.
So you can't tell from that photograph?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you only had a photograph of one cigarette butt in that trash can, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So we don't have a photo of the other 4 in place in the trash can?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I have more questions, but I don't need you to stand up here anymore. So would you agree that when you first looked in the black trash can at the scene, you couldn't actually see any bloody paper towels?
Yes, ma'am.
And we talked about, in the photograph with the cigarette butt, the first one, which is Defendant's Exhibit 13, and you probably can't see them at all now, right? In that one, it looked like the broken piece of the goose, and we agreed that the concave side was up
Yes,
in
ma'am.
that photograph.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the previous picture, possibly that same piece was over towards the side. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you need to come back over and look at the photos, that's okay. So the rotation or the orientation of that one piece changed. Would you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
So it changed from having the concave side facing more towards the bottom and the corner of the trash can, and then you turned it so that the concave side was up. Is that correct?
I didn't turn it, but sometimes
Someone turned it.
when you move stuff out of the garbage can, stuff moves, it just doesn't stay there.
The stuff moves around a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if we have 3 items, let's say we have 3 items, and one of these items, this manila folder, is going to represent the concave, the broken piece of the goose. And then this yellow legal pad in the middle here is going to be the bloody paper towel, okay? And this purple folder is going to be the cigarette butt. Would you agree that that's the orientation of those 3 pieces in Defendant's Exhibit 13?
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay. Would you agree in the photo that we have the broken piece of statuary on the bottom, and I'm talking about these 3 items, the statuary, the bloody paper towel, and the cigarette butt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So we have that on the bottom, right? We have that broken piece of goose.
Yes, ma'am.
And then on top of that, we have the bloody paper towel.
Yes, ma'am.
And then on top of that, we have a cigarette butt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So in the previous picture, would you agree that those items are oriented more in this direction, where that concave side is not up, it's facing this direction?
I'd have to look at the pictures again.
Okay. Feel free to look at the pictures. We have this piece here.
Can we get exhibit number, please?
This is Exhibit 13. Okay, so this is the piece I'm talking about where the concave side is up, where we have this orientation, okay, with the statuary, the bloody paper towel, and the cigarette butt. Okay, would you agree that's what we have in Exhibit 15?
Yes.
Okay, and then in Exhibit 14, we have, okay, that's a close-up of Exhibit 15. But in Exhibit 11, let's see. Okay. In Exhibit 11, would you agree that that's the same piece of the broken goose?
No.
Okay. And how is that different?
This little lip. Oh, I can't hear y'all. I'm
Need to
sorry.
speak up.
Sorry.
Just speak up.
Okay, so
What's the response?
I said, this little lip right here, I don't see in this picture of the goose.
okay, and this you identified earlier in Exhibit 11 as a bloody paper towel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're saying that this is not the same piece as that piece?
I'm just saying,
And-
I don't see this part on that piece at all.
Okay. So can we see that piece at all in Exhibit 11, that piece with the cigarette butt in it, in 13?
No. Not that I can see.
Okay. All right, thanks. Would you agree that based on the progression of these photographs that we've been looking at, that the contents of this trash can were moved around a number of times?
They seem to have moved a little bit, yes.
Okay. And items were moved sometimes when other items were lifted out?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's also possible that items within that trash can were moved in transit from the scene to the sheriff's office, right?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that they were moved. I don't think there would be any way they would move.
So you drove, you left the scene, you drove down the interstate probably, got off at Fairfield, drove to the sheriff's office. So it's 11 miles roughly. Did you take any steps to secure the contents within the trash can to keep them from moving during that journey?
No, I just put them in the big bag, or the garbage can in the big leaf bag, and put things around it to keep the garbage can from moving.
So it's possible that even though the garbage can itself may not have moved, the contents inside may have moved. Is that right?
I guess.
And you would agree that you don't have any photograph to document the condition of the trash can, the contents of the trash can, when you started to examine it at the lab?
Not before I took the plastic padding out.
So you can't verify that it was in the same condition when you arrived at the lab that it was when you left with it at the scene?
No, ma'am.
And those items that were in the trash can, there's no way you can tell how long they were in there?
No, ma'am.
And inside the purses, isn't it true that the only items in there were expired credit cards, expired IDs, that type of thing?
Just what was in the pictures. I don't know if they were expired.
And you don't know whether those purses were in the trash can because someone had just thrown them away because they were old, right?
I have no idea.
Did you ever swab those credit cards that were taken out of the trash can for DNA?
There were swabs from the cards and from the personal items.
Okay, but you don't know what the results were, right?
No, ma'am, I do not.
And with these 5 cigarette butts, you testified that you can't tell which one of those was the one that was on top of the bloody paper towel.
No, ma'am.
Did you label them A, B, C, D, and E, or was that someone else?
I don't recall.
So you would not have given them a designation, or you just don't remember?
I just don't remember.
Okay. And when they were sent to the lab for analysis, you don't do DNA analysis, correct?
No, ma'am, I do not.
So you would have to send them out to
I don't
someone?
send them, but the investigator sent them.
Okay. And at the scene, you were not asked to take any photographs of the shed in the backyard, is that correct?
No, ma'am. That was correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it's possible that there were some items of evidentiary value in that shed that were not photographed, correct?
The investigators looked in the shed. Had there been anything of evidentiary value, I would have taken pictures of it.
If you'd been asked to photograph it, you would have, correct?
If somebody would have told me there was something in there, yes, ma'am.
And there were some boxes on the bed behind John Smith that had blood spatter on them.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of them even had human hair on it. Do you recall that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. But you didn't take any of those boxes, you didn't collect any of those, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't take any photographs of a floor safe?
No, ma'am, I did not.
And at the time you took these photographs, you'd been working at the sheriff's office for over 10 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And part of your job was to submit reports detailing your work on a case.
Yes, ma'am.
And obviously, accuracy is very important.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall that you didn't file, or you filed your first report documenting your work on November 16th of 2015?
I don't know what day
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to look at your report?
I have my report.
Okay. If I could direct you to page 23 of the 33-page report.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree that you submitted this narrative on December 15th of 2015?
Where it says were added on 12/15?
Supplemental narrative, yes, added on 12/15.
That's the day the secretary added it to the report.
Okay.
I have no way of knowing what day I was actually submitted it to her.
Okay. And if we can talk about the photographs for just another minute. We agreed a few minutes ago that there were some items that were in the black trash can that you didn't actually take photographs of while they were still in the trash can, correct?
Correct.
So we don't have any way of knowing what the position of some of those items was in relation to other items, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree that you or someone helping you did shift items around, both at the scene and at the lab within that trash can?
I didn't shift anything around, no. I mean, maybe when you pull stuff out, stuff moves, but I didn't like purposely shift anything around.
Okay, but you would agree that in the photos that we've gone through, from one photo to the next, we have things that have moved from one location to another in
Yes.
the trash can?
Yes.
So we can't document the original location of a number of those items, correct?
Yes.
That's all my questions.
You redirect.
Ms. Rollins, Ms. Wilson spent however long going through the details of your addiction issues and your legal problems, correct?
Correct.
So the jury's clear. Your legal problems began in 2018, correct?
Correct.
And that was based on addiction issues from 2017.
Correct.
And your addiction to opiates occurred at least 2 years after your work on this case, correct?
Correct.
Now, Ms. Wilson also talked to you about your plea offer in this case. Do you remember that line of questioning?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you hire a lawyer for your case?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And was your plea offer negotiated between your attorney and Assistant State Attorney John Mulchan?
Yes, ma'am.
Didn't have anything to do with Bridget Jensen,
No, ma'am.
Trey Myers?
No, ma'am.
And speaking on your plea agreement, Ms. Rollins, you were not taking these pills and dealing them to others, were you?
No, ma'am.
This was the first time that you had been in criminal trouble, was it not?
Correct.
And you got fired from your job of 14 and a half years, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
You went to rehab, did you not?
Yes.
And did you successfully complete rehab?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And at the time of your plea negotiations, had you maintained sobriety?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, you already testified, but your actions at the sheriff's office evidence room did not affect any criminal investigations, did it?
No, ma'am.
And do you know if any of those factors even came into play in your plea offer?
I have no idea.
Now, Ms. Rollins, your plea offer, are you okay?
Yeah.
Your plea offer,
Excuse me, could counsel approach for a second, please?
you ready, Madam Court Reporter? Okay. Now, Ms. Wilson also was talking to you about your plea offer. Your plea offer said to testify truthfully, is that correct?
Correct.
And that could be for the state, right?
Correct.
Or it could be for the defense.
Correct.
The defense can call you as a witness as well, correct?
Correct.
And your plea offer didn't say, tell the state what they want to hear, did it?
No, it did not.
Ms. Wilson asked you about the black trash can being moved at the home. Do you remember that line of questioning?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it standard operating procedure not to move anything until photographs are taken?
Correct.
And she showed you a picture, and it's her Defense Exhibit 8, which she says is her last picture she's showing you of the trash can at the scene.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then her first picture of the trash can at the lab does not have this doily carpet thing you talked about, right?
Right.
Okay. Did you remove the doily carpet thing at the scene or at the lab?
At the lab.
Okay. Was anything removed from the black trash can at the scene on Deerfield Drive?
No, ma'am, it was not.
And did you photograph items as best you could, layer by layer or item by item?
Layer by layer.
Now, Ms. Rollins, you don't have before you all the photographs that you took in the 80 hours you processed the scene in 2015, correct?
No, ma'am, there were 700 photos.
I'm sorry?
In excess of 700 photos.
Okay. So do you remember either the first or the last picture that you took of the trash can or its contents?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Wilson asked you about the shifting of items in the trash can. Do you remember that line of questioning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you put the trash can in your crime scene car, secured as best you could?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did you do donuts in your car from the scene to the sheriff's office?
No, ma'am.
When you got to the lab, did you shake the trash can up or tip it upside down?
No, ma'am.
Did you do your best to remove the items layer by layer?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did you photograph them?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
The 5 cigarette butts. You testified earlier that there were 4 at the bottom, correct?
Correct.
And then there was one that was pictured in the photographs of the trash can.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you said it was either toward the top or toward the middle.
Yes, ma'am.
Are cigarette butts like items? Like they're
Yes.
similar items?
Yes, ma'am.
And do they come from the same location,
Yes, ma'am.
the trash can?
Yes, ma'am.
Those are my questions. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. I'll sit down, thank you. Can we get that exhibit moved off the side? Whoever. All right, state call next witness.
State calls Lindsay Eliopulos.
Yes, sir.
Can we get a spelling of that name?
The last witness being called?
What she just called?
Yeah, it'll be spelled when the person takes the stand. Good afternoon. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, self you got?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Please be seated.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Will you state your full name, please?
Lindsay Eliopulos,
And will you spell your last name for us?
Eliopoulos.
And Ms. Eliopulos, where are you employed?
The Escambia County Sheriff's Office.
What do you do for the sheriff's office?
I'm a crime scene technician.
And how long have you been doing that?
Almost 6 years.
Let me take you to July 31st, 2015. Did you respond to 4605 Deerfield Drive in reference to a death investigation?
Yes.
And on the 31st, approximately what time did you get there?
Around 1:30 p.m.
And approximately what time did you leave?
Around 1:30 a.m.
What was your primary job that day?
So on that first day that I arrived, my main duty was to assist crime scene tech Christy Rollins in whatever way she needed. And primarily on that day, it was to do a video of the scene.
And is a video of the scene done, I guess, in conjunction with photographs that are taken of the outside, inside, and what have you?
Yes.
After you left at approximately 1:30 a.m., did you return to 4605 Deerfield Drive?
Yes, I did.
And when was that?
At around 7 a.m. the next morning, or that same morning.
And why did you go back?
It was a very extensive scene, so there was a lot more that needed to be done as far as processing and collecting any evidence.
Now, you say this was an extensive scene. Why do you say that?
The house was very large, and we had the 3 decedents inside of it. The house was also very messy and cluttered. There were a lot of items in it, so at that point it was hard to know what was going to be relevant to the case.
Now, when you arrived back at the house at 7 a.m. on the 1st, was the house secured?
Yes.
And what does that mean?
We had a deputy who sat outside the house all night to make sure that nobody made entry. We also had the crime scene tape still up surrounding the house. And the door that we were using to go in and out of the house, the back door, we had taped it when we left the night before and signed the tape so we would know if it was broken, if somebody had opened the door to go inside.
And when you returned, did you go inside the home?
Yes.
Did you go back through the different areas of the house?
Yes.
And in the kitchen specifically, did you see areas that looked like blood?
Yes.
Okay. And did you take photographs?
Yes, I did.
And did you also do presumptive tests on those areas that look like blood?
Yes.
What is a presumptive test?
So the presumptive test that we were using for the blood, it's called phenolphthalein. Basically, it is a chemical. Any areas that may look like blood, you can swab those areas using something that looks like a Q-tip. You can wet the swab the area that looks like blood. You add those chemicals to it, and if it does detect the presence of blood, then there will be an immediate color change, and the tip of the swab will turn bright pink.
Now, were some of the areas that looked like blood negative on your presumptive test?
Yes.
Okay, and if it wasn't blood, what did it look like to you?
It looked like it could have been food.
Did you find anything specific in the living room area?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you find in there?
In the living room area, there was a sofa, and underneath the middle cushion of the sofa, I located a white iPhone 6 in a black case.
Okay. Did you look in John's room?
Yes.
And what did you see in there, if anything?
In John's room, there was a neck pillow that had blood on it that was leaning up against one of the side bedroom walls. And then next to that neck pillow, there was a white shelving unit. And on the shelving unit, I located his wallet, his cell phone, and there was a small white box that had a necklace inside of it. And on the outside of the box, there was suspected blood on there.
Did you look inside John's wallet?
Yes.
Okay. And what was in there, if anything?
Just miscellaneous cards, his driver's license, a Walmart card, and $2 in cash.
Did you see anything, well, did you go into Richard's room?
Yes.
And did you see anything in Richard's room?
In Richard's room, we located a safe that was unlocked, and it had a large amount of money inside of it.
Okay. And what may be large to me may not be large to others. So what is a large amount of money?
Okay, can I refer to my report so I don't mess this up?
If it will refresh your memory, just please don't read from it.
Okay, so inside the safe, there was a red envelope that had $1,809 in it. And there was also a lockbox that had several different white envelopes in it with different amounts of money that all added up to $11,842. So between the money in the red wallet and all the white wallets in the lockbox, there was a total of about $13,651 in the safe.
Did you go into the den area?
Yes.
And what did you find in there?
In the den, there were a lot of electronics.
And did you take photos of the areas and the items that you just described?
Yes.
Mr. Eliopulos, I'm going to show you what have been previously marked as States Exhibits 247 through 301.
Okay.
If you'll just take a look through those and see if you recognize them. Did you look through all those?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And do you recognize each of those exhibits 247 through 301?
Yes.
And are they fair and accurate visuals of the items and the locations that they depict?
Yes, they are.
Judge, at this time, I'd move 247 through 301 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
So admitted.
And permission to publish.
Yes.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit number 47, and what does this show for the jury and for the record? 247.
These are vehicles that were parked in the driveway on the side of the residence.
And back here in the back of this photo, does that appear to be a neighbor?
Yes.
This is State's Exhibit number 248. What does this show?
So this is the den where Richard and John had been located. Richard would have been right here, and John would have been right here on this couch.
And then are there various electronics that were found throughout the den?
Yes, one of these is a tablet over here, and there were several in this chair as well and behind this couch.
This is State's Exhibit 249. What does that show?
So this is just a close-up of one of those tablets. So you would have entered the den through this door right here. This would be on your right.
This is State's Exhibit 250.
Now again, you can see the tablet right here. This was a chest that was in the room that we noticed that had areas of suspected blood on it.
This is State's Exhibit 251.
This is another area of that same chest. You can start seeing those areas of suspected blood now.
This is State's Exhibit 252.
This is on top of that recliner that is also in the den. You can see several different tablets, laptops, electronics just piled up in it.
State's Exhibit 253.
So now this is behind the couch towards the back of the den. You can see the bed over here. There is a laptop that was open right here. And the chair also had other electronics on top of the chair.
State's Exhibit 254.
This is a box to a D-Link camera that we located in the den.
State's 255.
So now this is going into the kitchen. The den area would be right here. That's the back door that you see right here. So this is coming into the kitchen towards the living room.
State's Exhibit 256.
So areas that we noticed that look like it could have been blood throughout the house, we would mark with these photo stickers and label it. So this would be photo sticker 1, so that we would know where this was. So this is on the kitchen floor underneath the dishwasher area. So that would be suspected blood on the floor underneath the dishwasher.
And did you do the presumptive test on that particular area?
Yes.
And what was your result? If you want to look at page 11 of your report.
Photo sticker 1 tested positive for blood.
This is State's Exhibit number 257. What does this photo show?
So this is still in the kitchen area. We've got the sink above right here. So this is photo sticker 4 that was marking these areas of suspected blood also.
And did you do a presumptive test on those areas at sticker 4?
Yes.
And what was your finding?
This area was negative for blood.
This is State's Exhibit 258. What does this show?
This is still, you've got the sink and the dishwasher here. This is photo sticker 2 marking another area of suspected blood, and photo marker 12 as well marking another area.
Okay, and did you do presumptive tests on those areas as well?
Yes.
And what was your finding?
They were both positive for blood.
This is State's Exhibit number 259. What does this show?
So that same area we were just looking at by the kitchen counter, this was above it, on top of the kitchen counter. This was a little zip-up case that ended up belonging to Richard, and there was an area of suspected blood right here on the corner of the case.
And did you do a presumptive test on that area?
Yes.
What was your finding?
Positive for blood.
This is State's Exhibit number 260. I think you just testified that the area 2 and 12 were positive, is that correct?
Right, and then now this is, you can see where that black case was that we just looked into.
Okay, very good. This is a close-up of sticker number 2 in 261, is that correct?
Yes.
This is State's Exhibit 262, and what does this show?
So this photo sticker 9 is marking more areas on this counter over here that could have been blood.
Okay, and did you do a presumptive test on the area at sticker number 9?
Yes.
And what was your finding?
It was negative for blood.
This is State's Exhibit number 263. What does this show?
So this is the area below that photo sticker 9 right here. We had some knife blocks that we were concerned with, and there were some more areas of some sort of substance on the wall right there.
Did any of those particular areas look like blood or food, or could you tell?
It looked like it could have been food.
This is State's Exhibit 264. What does this show?
I believe this is, let me double check. This is going to be 6, I believe. It's kind of hard to read. An 8.
Okay. And did you do presumptive tests on stickers 6 and 8?
Yes.
And what was your finding?
They were both negative for blood.
This is State's Exhibit 265. What is this showing?
This is inside the oven in the kitchen.
It just looks like food.
Yes.
This is State's Exhibit 266. What does this show?
So this is that couch in the living room that I had mentioned where I found the white iPhone, and it was under this center cushion right here.
This is State's Exhibit 267.
And now this is the same couch, lifting up that cushion and finding the iPhone.
State's 268.
So now this is John's room. I had mentioned that there was a neck pillow with blood on it right here against the wall, and then this white shelving unit where I located his wallet and cell phone in that white box.
This is 269.
So that top shelf here, this is the white box I was talking about that had the necklace in it and some suspected blood on the outside of it. And then this is his cell phone right here and his wallet.
270.
And now this is just opening his wallet to see that it was his.
271.
So now this is once I saw that there was some suspected blood on that box, and I marked it with photo sticker 26.
This is 272.
This is inside of that box, that necklace that was located inside.
273.
This is looking back at that neck pillow that was against the wall right there.
274,
And this is after removing the neck pillow. We could see that it was transferring blood onto the wall from the neck pillow having blood on it.
275.
So this is Richard's bedroom.
Okay. And what is that area on the bed?
So this was another area that we did test for suspected blood.
And what was your finding?
It was negative.
276,
These are more just shots of the items around Richard's bedroom.
277,
These are some electronics that had been located within his bedroom as well.
278,
More electronics and his ID cards that have been located within his bedroom.
279,
And this is that unlocked safe that was located in his bedroom.
280,
This is opening the safe. Down here is that lockbox that I was talking about.
281,
This is taking out the contents of the safe, and this is the red envelope purse that I mentioned also had a large amount of money in it.
282,
So this is once we start counting the money out of those items.
283,
And here's the lockbox.
284,
And these are all the different white envelopes that were within the lockbox that had different amounts of cash in them.
285,
This is one of the receipts we found within the home with some monetary values on there of different accounts.
286,
This is just another shot of those envelopes that were containing money that were located inside of that lockbox.
287,
And this is the same, just more of those envelopes.
288,
And this picture is taken back at our lab where we were counting all of the money again.
289,
And this is just us counting the money more too out of all, you can see what came out of which envelope from the lockbox.
290,
This is one of the computers that was collected on scene.
291,
And this is another shot of that computer as well.
292,
This is the computer that was located on the bed directly behind where John was found.
293,
And this is another view of that computer.
294,
These are more cell phones that were located in that den area.
295,
And once again, more electronics and cell phones located in that den.
296,
This is John's cell phone that was located within his bedroom on that white shelving unit.
297,
And this was just another electronic that was located throughout the house.
298,
This is another Kindle that was located in Richard's room,
299,
and an MP3 player located in Richard's room.
300,
This iPad was located in the living room, tucked beside the recliner.
and 301.
And this was an iPad that was located in the den by the recliner in there.
I'm now showing you what has already been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 21. What is this photo showing?
So this is immediately as you enter through the back door. This is the first wall that you see. This will be the den area to your left and the kitchen to your right. And of course, we notice all these areas of an unknown substance on the wall right here.
Okay, and did you do a presumptive test for blood on that area of the wall?
Yes,
And what was your finding?
it was negative for blood.
Did that look like the same kind of substances that were in the kitchen that tested negative?
Yes.
Now, did you swab a number of areas of suspected blood?
Yes, I did.
In the kitchen as well as throughout the home?
Correct.
Okay. And what time did you leave on August 1st?
Around 8 p.m.
Was another crime scene technician assisting you at that point?
Yes.
And who was that?
It was crime scene technician Lawrence Smith.
And did he also turn a number of swabs and items over to you that he processed?
Yes, he did.
Did you collect the kitchen sink knob?
Yes.
And did it look like it had suspected blood?
Yes, it did.
Okay, and was that collected as Sheriff's Office Exhibit number 20?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Did you swab the iPhone 6 and the case that was found in the couch in the living room?
Yes.
And is that swab Sheriff's Office Exhibit number 21?
Yes, it is.
Did you swab the coffee table that was in the living room area by the recliner?
Yes.
And is that Sheriff's Office Exhibit number 107?
Yes.
Did you swab the bottom of the sofa cushion where the iPhone 6 was found?
Yes.
And is that swab Sheriff's Office Exhibit 106?
Yes.
Did you swab a D-Link cord in the den?
Yes.
And is that Sheriff's Office Exhibit number 123?
Yes.
That chest that you testified to that was in the den area, the white chest with some blood?
Right.
Did you swab that chest?
Yes, I did.
And is that Sheriff's Office Exhibit number 124?
Yes.
The white box in John's room that had the necklace in it, did you actually collect that white box?
Yes, I did.
Did you turn it into evidence?
Yes.
And is that Sheriff's Office Exhibit 136?
Yes.
Now, those aren't all the swabs you took, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. When you left Deerfield Drive that day, did you secure the back door?
Yes.
Okay, and again, what does that mean?
We just put the tape on the outside of the door and signed my initials. That way we would know that if it was broken, somebody had gone inside.
Okay. Did you return the next day?
Yes.
And what day was that?
That would have been August 2nd.
Okay. And what did you do on August 2nd?
So August 2nd, Christy and I went around spraying the home with Blue Star to try to find any other areas of suspected blood that we may have missed.
Okay, and you say Christy, you're talking about Christine Rollins?
Yes.
Okay. And what is Blue Star?
Blue Star is another chemical we use to detect the presence of blood. This one is a spray, and when you turn the lights off, it'll luminesce, so it'll light up blue if it detects any kind of blood. So you can do this, whereas the pheno, you see an area that you think is blood and you use that, but this will react to areas where you may not see blood at all, or it may have been wiped away or washed away.
Now, can you get a false positive with Blue Star?
Yes.
And do you know examples of when you may get a false?
Some paints and varnishes can create a false positive with Blue Star.
What about bleach?
Bleach, it's more so with a with luminol, but
Did you look in what we now know as Voncile's room?
yes.
Okay, and did you see anything of interest in her room?
Yes.
Okay, what did you see?
So once we sprayed Voncile's room with the Blue Star, there were 2 areas that lit up blue that caught our attention. There was a pink rug on the bedroom floor, and also on top of that pink rug on the floor, there was a sheet of gift wrap tissue that you'd put in like a gift bag, just a white sheet.
Okay, and I'm going to show you what has been already moved into evidence as State's Exhibit 121. And can you just describe for the jurors what you're talking about?
Okay, so this is in Voncile's room. This will be her bed right here. You can see this pink floral rug beside the bed. An area on that rug lit up with that blue luminescence. And then this is right here is that white gift tissue sheet that also lit up.
Okay. And could you tell if that was suspected blood, or could you tell what it was?
There was some discoloration, but to the naked eye, it didn't look immediately like blood.
Did you collect a buccal swab from
Yes.
Rusty Bjonsen?
Bjonsen, yes.
Okay, and Madam Court Reporter, that's Bjonsen. Who is Rusty Bjonsen?
Rusty was my supervisor and sergeant over crime scene at the time of this case.
And what is a buccal swab?
A buccal swab is a DNA swab. Basically, it looks like a Q-tip. You swab the inside of somebody's cheeks to get the cheek cells, and that gives you their DNA.
And did you seal Rusty's DNA swab and turn it into evidence?
Yes.
Ms. Eliopulos, how many hours did you work with Christine Rollins in this case?
So just this week, I put in around 100 hours on this case. So I would say with Christy, it could have been around 80.
Okay. And while you worked with Ms. Rollins, did you have any concerns that she may have been under the influence of anything?
No.
Did you have any concerns for her mental or physical condition while you worked with her?
No, I did not.
Those are my questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll cross-examination tomorrow morning. All right, members of the jury, we're going to break for the evening at this time. Before you leave, if you would jot down, the court administration has asked me to ask you if there are any particular snacks that you prefer so they can make sure they're available. So if you do, just write them down on a piece of paper and give them to the deputy if you have a preference. And with that, let me remind you, do not discuss the case with anyone, don't view or listen to anything about the case. And hope you have a good evening. We'll see you, be here at 8:45 tomorrow morning. We'll try to get started at 9 o'clock.